Superpowers expected the sixth-generation race to drag on for decades. But suddenly, reports, leaks, and budget clues began pointing to one conclusion. The US is years ahead, maybe an entire cycle ahead. But how did America jump so far, so fast? And how close are these next-gen fighters to becoming fully operational? What's coming next isn't just an upgrade, it could completely change the future of warfare. Fighter 1, NGAD, Air Force 6th Generation Fighter. The NGAD fighter isn't designed to win dogfights. It's designed to end decades-long rivalries in minutes. Its mission is painfully simple. The US should never lose air superiority again, anywhere on Earth. But here's the mystery. How did NGAD leap ahead so fast when public documents showed the program was still crawling? Because NGAD didn't follow traditional development. It was born inside supercomputers, not hangars. Thousands of digital prototypes were designed, tested, broken, and rebuilt overnight. By the time the world realized NGAD existed, a full-scale prototype had already flown in secret. While rivals were drafting blueprints, America was gathering flight data. But even with digital miracles, one problem remained. How do you reach a battlefield protected by China's missile wall? Engineers installed an adaptive cycle engine, a shape-shifting power plant that switches personalities mid-flight. One mode gives an extreme range for Pacific distances. The other unleashes a brutal thrust for combat. It's essentially two engines wearing the same skin. NGAD can now cross oceans and still have the energy to fight when it arrives. But reaching the fight is one thing. Surviving it when new radars can see invisible jets is another. So how did NGAD beat the death of stealth? Stealth didn't die, it evolved. NGAD uses metamaterials, directional emissions, and adaptive skin that actively adjusts its signature depending on who's looking. Instead of trying to disappear, NGAD lies to enemy radars. It appears bigger, smaller, closer, or farther than it truly is, a shapeshifter at Mach speeds. But even if NGAD is unstoppable, how do you pay for a jet rumored to cost more than $250 million each? You don't. You multiply it. NGAD isn't built to fly solo. It commands a pack of autonomous wingmen. Instead of one superjet doing everything, a pilot becomes the leader of a mini air force. One crewed fighter, several drones, infinite combinations. But before NGAD could dominate the skies, the Navy threw a wrench into everything. If this kind of behind-the-curtain tech breakdown is your thing, hit subscribe so you don't miss the next chapter. Because the Navy's fighter, it doesn't just compete with NGAD, it rewrites the rules of warfare at sea. Fighter 2, FAXX, Navy 6th Generation Fighter. Navy fighters live a violent life, salt, shock, and steel decks. The Air Force's NGAD wasn't built for that abuse. The Navy needed a machine born for the ocean. But why build a second 6th-gen jet when NGAD already exists? Because China's long-range anti-ship missiles push carriers hundreds of kilometers away from the fight. F-18s can't reach inland targets from that distance. The Navy wasn't losing dogfights. It was losing geometry. The only solution was a new aircraft with reach, stealth, and strike power designed for a world where carriers can't get close. But stealth and carrier landings don't mix. Hard impacts shatter coatings like glass. So how did FAXX fix stealth's biggest weakness? With flexible stealth polymers, coatings that bend instead of crack. Every landing shock is absorbed like memory foam. The jet stays stealthy without constant repairs. For the first time ever, a stealth fighter can survive the brutality of carrier operations without falling apart. Okay, but the ocean itself is the enemy. Salt destroys everything. How did they stop salt from eating stealth alive? The Navy borrowed a trick from submarines: hydrophobic, corrosion-proof stealth skin. Salt can't cling to it. Moisture slides off. Even weeks at sea don't erode the coatings. Stealth isn't a fragile art anymore, it's armored. But the toughest challenge wasn't corrosion or shock, it was physics. Long range needs big wings. Big wings ruin stealth. So how did engineers cheat radar? They fused the wings and body into a blended wing body, one smooth, continuous surface. No corners, no radar hotspots, no wasted space. You get a massive fuel volume and a radar signature small enough to slip through modern defenses. A flying ghost with marathon endurance. But range wasn't solved by wings alone. The Navy needed something more radical, something unmanned. Fighter 3, CCA, Collaborative Combat Aircraft. CCAs are not just drones, they're the moment air power becomes scalable. For decades, fighter squadrons relied on a simple formula: one pilot, one jet, one mission. CCAs break that model entirely. They let a single fighter pilot command a group of autonomous aircraft that scout ahead, jam radars, confuse enemy sensors, or dive into danger zones no human should ever risk. They don't replace fighters, they expand them. They turn one aircraft into a network, one pilot into a formation, and one mission into a multi-layered assault package. If today's fighters are already so advanced, why introduce drones into the equation at all? Because a fighter is limited by its single cockpit. CCAs break that limit. They extend the pilot's eyes, weapons, reach, and survivability. One NJAD paired with 4 drones isn't one aircraft, it's a strike team. The enemy cannot predict which target is real, which is a decoy, or which is carrying the missile that will end the fight. But CCAs aren't valuable just because they multiply their presence. Their biggest advantage is cost. A CCA might be just 1/10 the price of NGAD, yet still deadly enough to reshape engagement strategies. So if a CCA is so cheap, what exactly makes it dangerous? Because each drone carries AI trained on millions of simulated missions. It reacts faster than a human, spots threats buried in sensor noise, and executes maneuvers with machine precision. CCAs take risks man fighters can't. They can push into missile zones, provoke enemy radars, or sacrifice themselves to protect the pilot. The 2023 dogfight experiment changed everything. An AI dogfought a human pilot using real aerodynamics and real constraints, and the AI won. Repeatedly. If AI can beat a trained pilot, what happens when that AI supports the pilot instead of fighting him? You get a hybrid kill chain, human judgment paired with machine reflex. The pilot sets strategy, the drones execute tactics faster than a person can blink. This lets US fighters dominate close-range engagements while staying farther from danger. But making drones smart is only half the problem. You also have to ensure they stay online in a crisis. What happens if a geopolitical conflict shuts down the supply chain for CCA components? That nearly happened. Critical autonomy chips came from overseas suppliers. If relations fractured, the entire drone program could freeze overnight. The Pentagon responded by funding secure domestic chip fabs, ensuring CCAs can be built at scale without foreign dependence. Now CCAs can evolve with every software update. They're the first combat aircraft designed to upgrade like smartphones instead of fighter jets. But if drones become more capable every year, does that mean pilots become less important? Not at all. CCAs don't replace pilots, they amplify them. Humans still make ethical decisions, choose targets, and set mission intent. The drones handle the mechanics, searching, jamming, flanking, absorbing fire, and refining strike geometry. Still, the biggest shift isn't cost or autonomy. It's what this combination does to enemy defenses. How does any nation defend against a formation where the enemy fighter isn't alone, but mirrored by 4 drones that look identical on radar? They can't, not reliably. The enemy wastes missiles on decoys, misreads drone signatures as jets, and loses situational awareness as CCAs jam their sensors. In the chaos, the real fighter takes the winning shot. CCAs don't just assist missions, they break the enemy's entire decision cycle. CCAs turn the U.S. fighter fleet from a collection of aircraft into an adaptable ecosystem. They are the force that fills gaps, absorbs losses, expands reach, and overwhelms defenses. They mark the end of single-plane warfare and the beginning of algorithmic air power. Fighter 4, NJD Unmanned Variant. An unmanned version of NGAD is not simply a fighter without a pilot. It represents a fundamental shift in the philosophy of air combat itself. For over a century, aircraft design has revolved around the limits of the human body. How much G-force a pilot can withstand, how much heat and vibration a cockpit can handle, how much oxygen the lungs can process. Every maneuver, every turn radius, every thrust vector had to be engineered around keeping a fragile, biological system alive inside a metal shell. NGAD-U removes that constraint entirely. Suddenly, the airframe doesn't have to care about bones, organs, or consciousness. It can twist, torque, snap, and pivot in ways that would turn a human body into liquid. It's the first American fighter built for pure performance, unrestricted by biology. The idea might seem simple, but the consequences are enormous. Without a pilot, NGAD-U can fly deeper into hostile airspace, remain on station longer, take risks no commander would dare assign to a manned aircraft, and execute maneuvers so violent they look impossible on radar. It can accelerate vertically, dive at extreme angles, reverse direction mid-turn, or pull instantaneous high-G dodges designed purely to defeat missiles. And because it doesn't have to return a human safely home, NGAD-U can operate on the edge of destruction for its entire mission profile, pushing the jet to limits nobody has ever pushed a fighter before. So what exactly makes a pilotless NGAD so terrifying? Human pilots black out around 9 to 10 Gs. An unmanned NGAD could pull 20, 25, even 30 Gs. It can break angles, snap turn, and dive in ways no person could physically survive. It becomes the ultimate knife fighter, a missile-dodging, physics-breaking machine designed to win any last-ditch maneuver. But removing the pilot isn't just about maneuverability. It reshapes command structure. For 80 years, the pilot has been the brain, the decision-maker, the moral filter. Taking that person out of the cockpit raises questions that militaries have avoided for decades. Who decides when to fire? Who judges a target's legitimacy? Who ensures the machine doesn't misinterpret a sensor glitch as a hostile act? NGAD-U represents an evolution in capability, but it also forces the U.S. to confront the ethics of autonomy on the battlefield. The Air Force has insisted repeatedly that humans will remain in control. Not because AI is incapable, but because allowing a machine to make lethal decisions crosses a line even the most advanced nations hesitate to approach. And then there's the cyber dimension, the threat nobody likes to talk about publicly. A manned fighter can lose communications and still complete its mission. A fully autonomous one must rely on encrypted data links, secure uplinks, and resilient decision protocols. If any of those fail, degrade, or are compromised, the consequences could be catastrophic. The Air Force has built NGAD-U assuming the worst, that enemies will try to hijack the system, inject false data, or manipulate its sensors. Quantum-resistant encryption, hardened comms, and multi-layered failsafes have become mandatory, not optional. Even with all these protections, one question hangs over NGAD-U like a shadow. Just how far has the technology already advanced behind closed doors? There have been whispers for years. Cryptic budget lines, odd flight patterns over remote deserts, reports of aircraft performing maneuvers that seem to break physics. Nothing confirmed, everything denied. But insiders hint that unmanned air combat is not hypothetical. It may already be happening in secret, with prototypes testing limits that no human body could endure. But here's the twist nobody expected. Has the U.S. already flown fully autonomous fighters? In secret, for years, odd flight patterns appeared over remote test ranges. Budget lines referenced unmanned maneuver tests with no details. DARPA insiders hinted at prototypes pulling maneuvers no pilot could survive. If true, NGADU isn't a future idea. It's the public-friendly version of something that has already evolved in the shadows. Fighter 5, PCA, or Penetrating Counter-Air. Deep inside Air Force documents sits a program with an unassuming name, PCA, Penetrating Counter-Air. Its title reveals nothing. Almost intentionally, this aircraft isn't built for glory. It's not designed to star in recruitment videos or viral dogfight clips. PCA's purpose is strategic, surgical, and brutally specific. Its job is to escort the B-21 Raider, America's most advanced stealth bomber, into the most dangerous airspace on the planet. And the reason this escort is necessary reveals a truth about modern warfare. Stealth is no longer the invincible cloak it once was. The world has been working tirelessly to crack it, not by building bigger radars, but by building smarter ones. The B-21 is the crown jewel of American deterrence, a bomber engineered to slip past enemy defenses, strike heavily protected targets, and vanish before anyone knows it was there. But rival nations have spent years rewriting the rules of detection. New radar arrays operate at frequencies stealth aircraft can't fully absorb. Machine learning algorithms analyze atmospheric disturbances instead of metallic reflections. Satellite-based infrared constellations track heat signatures from orbit. Together, these systems don't see stealth aircraft directly. They sense the disturbances they leave behind. That's where PCA enters the picture. The bomber may be stealthy, but PCA is the aircraft meant to blind the battlefield, distort the sensor picture, scramble early warning data, and mislead enemy tracking networks long enough for the B-21 to slip through like a shadow in a thunderstorm. But if the B-21 is stealthy, why does it need an escort at all? Because rivals are developing counter-stealth radars that detect aircraft by heat patterns, low-frequency returns, and AI anomaly detection. Even the B-21 can't ignore this. PCA's job is simple. Enter hostile airspace first, blind the sensors, and clear a path for America's most important bomber. To perform that role, PCA must be more than stealthy. It must be adaptive. Traditional stealth relies on geometry and codings. PCA relies on intelligence. Unlike any fighter before it, PCA is designed to treat the electromagnetic spectrum like a battlefield. It reads radars as if they were opponents making moves, and it answers each move with a counter. If a radar system sweeps from a new angle, PCA shifts its heat output. If low-frequency arrays begin triangulating, PCA modifies its wing alignment. If AI systems detect anomalies in radar clutter, PCA injects false patterns to drown out the signature. Its goal is not to hide perfectly, it's to make the enemy doubt everything they see. This level of deception fundamentally changes how reconnaissance, interception, and attack missions unfold. Instead of punching through defenses with raw speed or overwhelming firepower, PCA corrupts the enemy's perception of the sky. Imagine watching a security camera feed that keeps glitching every time someone approaches. After a while, you stop trusting it. You begin second-guessing. You hesitate. That hesitation is exactly what PCA is engineered to create at scale, across an entire national air defense grid. And the most unsettling aspect is that PCA doesn't just trick radars, it tricks the algorithms analyzing them. Modern air defenses rely heavily on AI to detect patterns, spot inconsistencies, and flag threats. But PCA's algorithmic stealth is designed to feed those systems misleading information, nudging neural networks to misclassify aircraft, misinterpret reflections, or dismiss real targets as atmospheric clutter. In a world where detection is increasingly automated, PCA is the first aircraft built to fight the machine, not the operator. But how does PCA hide from radars that didn't even exist when it was designed? PCA uses algorithmic stealth, an AI that studies enemy radar in real time and adjusts the jet's shape, heat signature, and emissions on the fly. It's stealth that learns, stealth that adapts, stealth that updates itself mid-mission. Against PCA, enemy radars aren't facing a jet. They're facing a moving target of evolving invisibility. Individually, each platform is powerful. Together, they form the first air dominance ecosystem in history. If you're still here, you're clearly someone who loves understanding the tech the world isn't supposed to see. Hit subscribe and like. It tells the algorithm to push these deep dives to the people who actually care about them. What happens when breakthroughs no longer belong to just one jet, but spread across the entire fleet instantly? NGAD, FAXX, PCA, CCAS, NGAD-U all share modular avionics, digital backbones, and plug-in software. A new sensor invented for PCA can appear on NGAD in the next update cycle. A drone algorithm can be ported into a Navy jet overnight. Rivals build jets. America builds systems that evolve together. So if the US fields all 5 platforms at once, who controls the sky? Picture this. NGAD owns the high-altitude fight. FAXX protects the oceans. PCA shreds sensor networks. CCAs flood the battle space. NGAD-U performs inhuman maneuvers no pilot could survive. This isn't a fighter fleet. It's an adaptive web of machines, pilots, and AI shifting tactics mid-air. A force so fast, so flexible, and so scalable that rivals can't keep up. Is this the rise of American air dominance, or the spark of a global AI arms race? Drop your thoughts in the comments and subscribe for more deep dives into the secret programs shaping our future.